Everybody, welcome to Matty's Movie Mix, where every week we are going to go through an old movie and a new movie, and that old movie means that it's going to be 5 years or older, and a new movie means, well, pretty new. Hanging out with me today again is...
Wait. Welcome to today's main event. Weighing in at 100 and... At 5 foot 10 inches tall, Matt Logan.
Get your name. I got yours, right? But I never got.
Tyler Peterson.
Thanks for being here, man.
Being here.
I'm really looking forward to this. This is our pilot episode, so we're recording this more specifically so we can laugh at it later. It's probably not going to ever, I doubt. Maybe we'll take some clips of this pilot episode and throw it up there to let other people laugh at us. But this is mainly for us to look back at, and when we're wildly famous and laugh at it, right? Okay, probably not going to be wildly famous, but
it'll be wild.
It will be wild. Good point. It's really exciting to do this for me because I have this really corny acronym. I'm not sure if you've heard that or paid attention to anything that I do, but it's shiny.
Yeah.
And what I've tried to encourage people to do for the past couple years at least. I came up with it in 2013, but that is to be just a little bit different, right? In a good way.
That's right.
Not different like me, but to be strong, to be hope, to be influential, to be necessary, and to be you. So this part of shiny is be you to me, right? This is just hey, you see the movies that I have here. Those are double deep, by the way.
You got to make sure you have options.
There's some options, ranging from James Bond to Star Wars and Star Trek and The Transporter and National Treasure and
got quite the range.
Yeah, well, I've been collecting for like 30 years, like way before DVD and Blu-rays existed.
When discs were just frisbees.
That's right. I'm not as young as you, sir.
I don't know what I do with a video cassette.
You at least know what it is.
What do you mean there isn't just a rewind? You have to use a pencil to...
I love it. So what we're going to do, our intent is to, each week, we're going to do the old and the new, and we're going to just chat about it as people, not critics, not anything like professionalism. This is just kind of, we're going to wing it and have fun with it, because I think that's what a lot of people really want to know, right?
Absolutely.
Do you think there'll be spoilers?
There's a good chance.
There's a good chance. I think so too. So beware, spoilers. There's gonna be. We're gonna let's try to give them like, hey, mute it for a few seconds here. There's gonna be some spoilers or whatever, but hopefully we'll remember.
However, if you haven't seen a movie from the 70s,
yes, that's a good point.
Then it's really your fault.
Why are you getting so upset? This is not about you.
We're going to talk about When Harry Met Sally, and I believe that was in '89, I want to say, but we'll maybe pull that up. And then Shang-Chi this week.
Yeah, not from the 80s.
No. Not even from the 8th month. It just came out this month.
Yeah.
The 3rd of September?
I think so.
Something like that. It's great. Not on Disney Plus yet.
No, but it's coming in November, I think.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think November 16th.
So you know what I had to do?
What's that?
I had to go to the theater.
Oh my gosh. Tell me about it.
I haven't been to the theater since the pandemic started.
Was the popcorn at least cleared off the floors?
There was still gum on the seats.
Well, you just can't remove that.
The floors were sticky. Yeah, they opened last week.
Good times. Good times.
I love going to the movies.
Yeah.
I collect movies, as we just talked about, and you can see, the audience can't, especially if you're listening. But I love movies. It was a little bit weird to go to the theater not because of COVID or a fear that I have or anything like that.
Right.
But because, I have a theater in my backyard. I have a big outdoor screen.
You can just do it at home.
I have way before COVID. And so that just COVID gave me the reason to watch more movies out back, and that was a lot of fun. And the streaming services, I put internet out there. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
I did. It's
that's a dangerous hole to go down. Movie after movie.
I know. So you bring the computer out, plug it in the projector, plug it into the sound system. You've heard the sound system.
Yeah, it's great.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It doesn't stay out there, of course. I set everything up. That's the hard part.
Did you bring a microwave out so you can make sure you're always stocked on popcorn?
That's a good idea. I didn't. Yeah, no. But my mom has made some popcorn for me.
Oh, good.
And cotton candy.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's kind of like the same thing.
You got a carnival going in the back.
Right. So going into the theater, it's one of the cheap seat theaters. Like, it wasn't the recliners and, all the fancy stuff.
Right.
I wanted the experience.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely.
It wasn't like I'm going to go kick my feet up and fall asleep type.
That's what my wife does.
Yeah, does she? Yeah. Trust me, I fall asleep in plenty of movies. But I wanted to make sure that, that's kind of what the theater was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
The skinny seats, and they're just not clean,
No, but the smells, they take you right into the movie.
Totally. Isn't that weird? Let's When Harry Met Sally. Let's tackle that one first.
I did not watch that one in theaters.
I'm old enough to have, but I didn't either. It's true. I'm old enough to have watched that in theaters. I watched it. I remember on VHS. I might even
own pencil?
it. I might even own it. I have a big box in my attic of VHS stuff, so I might own it. I don't remember. But so I rewatched it when we talked about doing this one, and when Harry Met Sally and Shang-Chi, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And what I was pretty impressed by initially was it kind of holds up.
Absolutely does.
Some of those movies that were done just don't hold up at all.
No.
Tell me what you think. What was your initial because was it 89? And I mean, you don't remember 89.
No, I don't think I was even conceived. So yeah, I was born in 94, and so I started I think I probably maybe watched it with my parents once.
Yeah.
But I first really appreciated it when I was in college. And yeah, it amazed me how well it holds up. I think one of the reasons is that it's really built off of the relationship between Billy Crystal's character, Harry, and Meg Ryan's character, Sally, where they're just talking about life and just growth of relationships. And I think...
Are we becoming friends now?
Because that is what pushes it, it makes it hold up, because relationships like that are still around today.
That's a really good point, because I think, the older I get too, and that's kind of like the process of the movie, is as they got older and they started realizing some of those things. And I could relate to that now watching it. Mm-hmm. Like, the older I get, I understand how important it is to, if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, that growth as a friend,
absolutely
is incredibly big. And, I didn't, the first time I watched it back, in the late 80s, early 90s, whatever it was.
Right.
I didn't even think about that concept as how it relates to real life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It makes complete sense. And even their buddies that they grow alongside with, that kind of push them and grow. I think it's something that everyone strives for. And so I think being able to see it on a screen where it's not ever really over the top, where it's just seems this is ridiculous, this could never happen. It really seemed real, and those relationships of like, what are you thinking? You're crazy.
Yeah.
How aren't you in love with her? You spend all your time with her. Or what do you mean you can talk to things about me, but you can't? Or what? I forget the Harry's friend's name.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but yep.
Where he's like, what do you mean you can talk to stuff about her, but you can't talk about with me? And growing up in college, of like, when I have good guy friends, where we would grow, and I was definitely closer to them, but as I grew closer with my now wife, it was something that it makes complete sense how that happens.
It's very relatable.
Yeah.
And I like that about it because, when they were in the store, you remember the name of the store? They were in the electronics.
I don't remember the story, but where they're doing the karaoke.
Yeah. And I remember those, in malls and stuff, those stores, and they don't exist anymore. And I should have pulled it up to remember the exact name. I don't want to say the name wrong because then that'll really be bad. But I think that being able to relate to that was incredibly. That's why the movie was so, when it came out, was so big.
Yeah,
it's completely relatable.
Absolutely.
It at any point in your life, it might not have made sense to me the later part of life that they experienced together.
Yep.
But now it does.
Right.
As I rewatch it and things like that. Sharper Image. That's the name of it. I just thought of it. Sharper Image. Very cool stores.
Oh, I mean, it looks like a playground.
Totally. So we're going to rank this. We're going to do this much shorter. We're probably going to try to do 30 minutes, just so everybody knows. But because this is our pilot episode, we're just trying to get the nerves
That's right.
rattled out, right? So we're going to rate this 1 through 5 stars. Overall entertainment value, actor chemistry, filming location, cinematography, costume design, and score. So we talked about this off camera, and cinematography, it's like everybody knows the word.
That's right.
But what does it mean?
Yeah.
It's like, we got to look this up. I thought, and we'll talk about that first, because I thought when I looked up the meaning of the word, I kind of knew what it meant, sort of, but it's hard to explain. And
Right.
But the way I would say it personally is it's like
a time of scoundrels.
Overall look of what's on screen.
Yep.
Like, what's the car in the background look like? Is it in focus? Is it lit well? How's the lighting on the actors? How, all those things. The way that moment on the screen, how does that look?
Yes.
It's not about transitions that's edited or, how does at that moment look? That's how I would describe cinematography.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but what do you?
Yeah, well, I Googled the word earlier today to try to understand, because, again, it's a long word that I've heard of but never really understood the context. And so for me, it's how the intentionality of shots and why were things shot a certain way, and does it make sense in the context of the whole movie. So specifically with Harry Met Sally, I think it was amazing. I always loved when they had the old couple sitting on the couch talking about their relationship. They were very straightforward what they were wanting. They were just, these two couples you're going to see that they're in love with each other. They're going to be on a couch and they're going to be talking about their love story.
Yes.
And that's all that it was. And I think they shot it and they did a great job of trying to get across what they were trying to. So, I mean, that's to me, I think what cinematography is one of those things you don't think about, but if you don't have to think about much, I think it shows a good sign of a film because everything is fluid. With the shots.
Yeah. That's a great explanation. You outdid me by far. So thank you for that. How would you rate it? The overall film?
Yeah, I think it being an older film, I think I would give it a 4. I think it was really well done. I think it holds up because they didn't try to do anything super flashy. Again, it was built on the relationships, and so it was watching these characters move together. And so I remember one of the scenes where I think it was like the third time where they met, and Harry is hiding behind, I think it was a magazine rack, and Sally's friend, again, I should be better with names, was like, I think there's a guy staring at you, and then Sally was like, yeah, I know him, and you can just see the shots back and forth as Harry goes back as he knows he's being seen, and then Sally like keeping her head down. So I think it was well done. I think you see that throughout the film of the relationships growing. You can see closer shots together as they get closer together in the relationship, and then the first few shots, I mean, they're further apart. It's that camera's back further because the relationship isn't as close at that point.
Yeah, that's very good. I like how you put that. What I decided was a 3.5, and the reason for that is like I said, we weren't going to take notes, right?
Right.
So for this one, this is just more you and I to get our chemistry figured out. I recall though in the movie that there was some details like in the background that I thought were a little bit off.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons for that is I've been to the locations. However, I have to consider that this was shot in 89. They probably look different now.
Right.
But the reason the 3.5 mainly is because I thought some of the background was a little bit off. I thought some of the extras and stuff in the background, I didn't appreciate, I guess, visually how some of that was done, but it holds up very well.
Yep.
Hey, I don't feel great about this, but I don't hear anyone complaining.
And I think the reason I give it a 3.5 on that is cinematography is because it is done in 89, and the cameras are different than they are now, and so I'm so used to what we see now.
Yeah.
So I think just that's probably more of a mental block. But as we do it and explore it more, I'll probably have, a better appreciation.
Yeah, it's a little bit different seeing like the grainy
exactly.
shots, because that's
good way to explain
not something, when we start talking about Shang-Chi, you don't see grains, you see like freckles and pores.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really the reason why I gave that a 3.5. Let's talk about score. We're going to go from one difficult thing to explain to another difficult thing to explain. And score, how would you, I'm going to give you the first shot at this. How would you explain that?
I think it's just how you score a movie, right? Mm-hmm. No, sorry. It's score is the musical context.
Dun, dun.
I don't have my drum set over here. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you play drums?
No.
Oh.
But I think I could do those set? 3 notes. No, I'm sorry. I don't have it.
I'm just, hey.
I have we have a bass guitar, and I think that's it, because my wife and I both play bass a little bit, very little bit. We played it for our church. So score is the music in the background, and it comes in a variety of ways. You sometimes have modern music that plays as people singing and stuff like that, but a lot of times when I think of score, I think of more of the subtle, you got the orchestra or something similar to that. It's constantly changing. That the goal is how well the music is able to suck you into the movie without you realizing that it's even there, except for the points where it's supposed to. And like something like Guardians of the Galaxy opening, obviously the music is central.
Yeah.
But overall, you don't even think about the music, but typically if you listen, it's always there.
What's your rating?
I would give it, I think this one I would give it 3.5. I didn't go into it listening for the score too much going into it. So I mean, in some ways that's probably a good thing, but there were parts where I appreciated where they had the same music again for when they did the couple conversations, where it's kind of a goofy, quirky, to get you feel more aloof and relaxed, realizing it's a sillier part of the film, but also sweet. During the main parts of the film, I guess, again, I unfortunately didn't pay attention to it too well, besides maybe some of the honking in the backgrounds, but would be something else still.
Do you think that honking in the background was like just natural, real world stuff going on while they're filming?
Yeah, I think, especially with it being filmed in '89.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely something where
It's harder for them to take it out.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Post, yeah.
But again, in films like this, I think it also adds to authenticity of the feel, where you can't always control the sound and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty well done in the parts that I do remember listening to. It helped engage and flowed well with the film.
Yeah, nice. I'll be completely honest. I didn't notice the score on it much.
Yeah,
I did notice certain points of it for sure. I just can't even rate it because I didn't pay attention. Surprise! And that's the truth. We literally just developed this rating system, and so we got to work through it, and so that'll be something more conscious. But I did notice some of those background things, but I didn't notice a lot of the others,
right?
Honestly. And I think that's good.
Yep.
I think that means that, to me, what that would mean is like it flowed so well and so natural,
exactly.
And it just was like water flowing.
Yeah.
That probably means it was extremely good.
Yeah. And I think too, music soundtracks have become something bigger in the last few decades, where it's something that is more focused on in things that are not even epic. So like Star Wars, classical music, da da da, like that's something you think into. But now I think that's moving over into other films that wasn't necessarily done as much.
No, that was I remember that being like almost one, like there were certain people that went to Star Wars just for the score.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Back then.
Yeah.
That was unheard of.
Yeah, it's so well done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I think it's hard for some of the older films to grade the score, just because I think it was definitely something on more of the back burner, and so they added it where they can, but I liked it where they did in this. So,
yeah, terrific costume design.
Could tell it was the '80s.
It's so awful. There's no way to even begin to explain what's so awful about it.
I don't know exactly how the progression. I should have looked it up in the timeline of it, but obviously in college.
Yep.
And so the progression was whatever. I believe, if I remember correctly, I saw something on a license plate that was like 77.
Which would make sense.
Right. So that they would then essentially be in 89.
Yeah.
At the end of the film.
Right.
Because it was about a 10, 12 year, wasn't it?
I think it was like
a 5 and a 5.
I think at the end, they're like, what was it? Because they talk, if I would have took notes, you would have the exact date, because the last scene is talking about how long they've known each other. I think it was like 10 years and 3 months.
Okay.
Because they met, and they got married 3 months after.
Yep. And I remember that a little bit too. I didn't remember the exact timeline, but so the on that part of it, I think you couldn't pack that much stuff into 3 months is really the point.
Right.
That, I was like, okay, so it's 10 years and 3 months or whatever they said it was exactly. I'm sure you're right. But I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, they did an awful lot in 3 months.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I mean? Like when they went from that 10 years to the 10 years.
Well, I think it got condensed because the first time they met, then I think there was a few years where they then met again on the plane. And then again, it was another... That was 5 years, wasn't it?
Funny year. It was 5 years. They actually posted it. It was like 5 and 5.
Yeah. You could get a whole timeline down if you...
yeah, you totally could. Totally could. But anyway, costume design. Yeah, you could tell it was done in the 80s. I'm going to give it a 4 because I thought they did a great job with Billy Crystal's hair.
Yeah, well, even Meg Ryan's.
In the beginning. And Meg Ryan's. They did a good job on the cars.
Yep.
That's one thing I pay attention to a lot is our cars. Mainly cars.
Yeah.
And so I think, so I got to give it a 4.
Yeah. I think that's what I would give it as well. Didn't know the time as well, but I've seen films. Through those times, you would see very similar clothing. The thing that always gets me is the hair and how much it changes. And the clothes changed a little bit, but I remember Meg Ryan went from the somewhat curly up front, and then she had the completely straight hair, and then she went to the curls. So I think they did a good job at showing the time lapsing through those things as well, because that is something you see changes, hairstyles and stuff like that. So yeah, I would give it a 4. I think again, this film is probably easier to do when it comes to costume design because it's very casual clothing and you're just trying to get the era right.
Yes.
So yeah, definite 4. They did a good job.
Yeah, perfect. Filming locations. What did you think of how they did that? Like,
right.
I'm gonna I'll start. I'll say I'm gonna give that a 4. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I think some of them they looked a little bit off. Again, this was done, prior to when I was there personally.
Right.
Airport was one of them. Clearly, that could be different, but I don't think they actually did it in the airport anyway.
Right.
I think the reality of filming in an airport would be
chaos,
pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Especially since it was just a short scene. It wasn't like they were fully. I mean, I guess there was one part where they were walking down the airstrip, but besides that, it wasn't like.
And you could do that in the middle of the night.
Absolutely.
And some of those things probably okay, but I'm not. Yeah, not convinced that most of it was done in an actual airport.
Right.
It was on a set somewhere, and it seemed like it felt that way to me.
Yep.
I guess I might be wrong, but that's the way it felt. So, filming locations, that's. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought they did well. It was fun how they moved locations at times too, going from Chicago, New York, and stuff like that. The diners and stuff.
They made that whole road trip though for locations. Like they made that whole road trip, 18 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take you that long.
Well, maybe she was going under the speed limit because she was very type A. She has to have certain things in a certain way.
I'm so glad I never got involved with you.
Anyway, I digress.
And maybe that was accounting for stops too, because they seem to like their meals.
Yes, that's a good point. And yeah, I'll have what she's having.
That's right.
Which was not on the trip, but
it always made me laugh.
Life, yeah,
it always made me laugh that they talked about those things. The only time they talked about sex was in a diner.
Yeah.
Because the first time they were like, we can only be friends because sex involved.
Yep.
And then that second time was, I'll have what she's having in the middle of a diner.
I'll have what she's having.
Classic scene.
That's
classic scene. Hilarious.
So yeah, I'd give it a 4 as well. I thought they did. I mean, again, it was pretty simple in the sense of it was apartments, it was diners and stuff like that, which made it relatively simple, but it looked nice.
Yeah, I agree. The chemistry, actor chemistry.
I would give it a 4.5. I thought Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan had a good chemistry. It was, again, believable how the relationship grew and their distance and the way they talked to each other. You could see that grow as the relationship grew through the film, where the first part, it was like, what the heck are you talking about? Death and mortality and morbid things. And they were very standoffish because they were very different people. And then by the end of it, obviously, they acknowledged the differences, but you could see that they really had a true relationship with one another, which was authentic. I think it really is what drives the film. I think if they didn't have a great chemistry together, the film wouldn't have done as well because that whole part would be lost.
Yeah. I've got to give it a 4.5. It's not a 5 for sure because some of the background supporting actors and actresses or whatever were a little bit off, I thought. But 4.5 for sure because the main scenes were dynamic.
Yep.
They definitely... I think the director had a lot to do with that too, in the progression of how the film was written.
Yep.
And how their chemistry flowed through with the film. Thought that was done very, very well.
Yeah, I agree.
So 4.5 on that. So overall entertainment value, how would you rate that in particular? Because there's a lot of films like,
right.
But this one, overall entertainment, I'm going to give it a 4.7.
That's really technical.
Because it is. Because you just can't give it a perfect score.
Right.
But when I was much younger, when it came out, or very shortly after, I watched it and I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
I was very entertained by it.
Yes.
I didn't become a smarter person, but I was very entertained.
Yeah.
Which was the point.
Yep.
And there was some underlying, life lessons, definitely, that I probably didn't grab a hold of then, but understood what was trying to be said.
Right.
So that's part of it too. So that's why it's a 4.7, because overall, back then and now, I didn't fall asleep.
Yeah. I didn't know if we were going by decimal places.
Sorry,
4.7.
I had.
No, it makes complete sense. We're learning the ground rules
that's
still.
Right. Which, by the way, no swearing and no pounding on the table. Those are the two big ones. Yeah.
I'll bring out my Hulk off.
Yeah.
I have to sell my Hulk hands again because that's fun.
Exactly.
I would definitely give it a 4.6. Because I was going to give it 4.5, but it's definitely, if we're going more technical than that, I'll give it 4.6. I think definitely I'm still a little bit younger. But I think exactly what you said. I think you could watch it at any period of your life and you'll be able to pull different applicable things that you can see or how it's actually followed through in your whole life. And so I think it's one of those movies that I think it's one I watch like every year or every other year, just because I think there's a lot of applicability to it, and it's entertaining to watch. I think it does a good balance of being super relatable with the relationships, but at the same time having those humorous scenes of what she's having, and things.
And then the table, hilarious too.
Oh my gosh.
The wagon wheel table.
That's right.
That was good too. It's like there's not many people that would think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Harry, you said you loved it.
Yes. I mean,
saying that to be nice.
That was funny too.
We all have those moments.
We all have them. All have them. Totally. I liked it. Well, hey, that wraps it up. If you're watching, thanks for watching. If you're listening, thanks for listening. We will be back again next week to evaluate, chat, and talk about. Chat is the same thing as talk about, isn't it?
They're different words.
They're different words. I could have just.
They can't just mean the same thing.
Yeah,
they can't.
Maybe
it's the English language. They have to mean something slightly different,
slightly
so you can use them both.
We're gonna do this again.
And chat.
Make sure you hammer the like button. Hammer out a comment if you would also give us like 5 stars. Should we ask for 5? Let's go all the way.
Yeah, we got to dream big.
That's right. Appreciate you being here. See you next week.